I was as I was preparing for it, I really believe, I hope you will agree with me that I think we need more than a day for the shukr. We need more like a month because of the importance of the topic. So I'm gonna divide, because of the time, I'm gonna divide my talk to three parts. One part will be more about what the text says about gratitude. The second part, why it is important. Why there's such an emphasis on this, shukr. Quran keeps talking about shukr. The third would be more, what does it mean to us? By segment number 2, it's important, but how do we exemplify it? How do we live it? How it will become part of who we are? So, again, it's the three parts. Number 1 is the text on gratitude, on shukr. Number 2 is more why it's important. Number 3 is how do we exemplify it? How do we live it? So when I was preparing, I went to the Quran and then I tried to do an inventory of all the verses that are tackling shukr. Shukr is gratitude, is thanks. And I found it a little bit less than 80. I'm not talking about a ni'mah, which is a blessing, and there are other ways of the Quran talk about the blessings of God. I'm talking about the word shukr by itself. It's a little bit less than 80 verses. So when the Quran talks about something with such abundance, what does it mean? And as how many you guys heard me before, right? I mean, there are not a lot of us here, so. And I don't like to be a lecturer. I like to hear from you. So when I ask a question, I'm expecting you to respond. To give me an answer. When the Quran talks about a topic with so many verses, what does that mean?
It's one of the focal points.
Okay. And usually, what should we do about that topic when it is talked about in such abundance?
Make sure we understand it fully.
Act upon it. Act upon it.
Yeah. There is something, understand fully and act upon it. Remember those two.
And also, you have to complete the comment, whatever Allah says.
Okay. Which you are articulating what they said. No, that's very good. No, you're right on. But you're within what the brothers said. Remember this, okay? I'll come back to it, and I want to add something that I hope you take it to heart. After I was preparing, I discovered something I want to share with you. So let's get into the topic.
What's the topic?
It's about gratitude.
Thanks for Allah.
Shukr.
Shukr, thanking, it's gratitude. So, a lot of verses. Unfortunately, I was selective. I picked few to talk about. I'll start with verse number 66, chapter 39, Surah Al-Zumar. بَلِ اللَّهَ فَاعْبُدْ وَكُنْ مِنَ الشَّاكِرِينَ. I find that is an interesting verse. Short, to the point. Nay, God worship, only one God worship, and be among those who are grateful. If you notice, this verse is connecting two important things. It's connecting a shukr to what?
Jannah.
Worship, al-ibadah, fa'bud. Right? So here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the point, if you are a believer, you want to worship the one God, not, this is in Mecca period, you have to be grateful. Why would you be grateful? You be grateful for obvious reasons. You look around and you realize that your life is a gift, everything that you have is a blessing, and you realize that this world that you live in, it is plenty of benefits for you, right? وَسَخَّرَ لَكُم مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. That Allah has made this earth subservient to you. From the oxygen you breathe, to the soil, to the sea, to everything else around, it's a blessing, right? Who is the primary beneficiary of this blessing?
Me.
Us. So how can you a primary beneficiary of something and not being grateful? Am I right? I mean, you're giving something to your children, and can you imagine all the hard work that you do, and they're not grateful? Wow, nobody likes that. Really, I mean, if you look around, those who are not grateful, they are disliked. You don't have to be religious. Those, you'll find someone who is ungrateful to his employee, to his employers. They asked one time a rich man, a billionaire, and they told him, what is the key of your success? He said, I'm grateful. I'm grateful to my employees, to my customers, to my clients, to everybody.
Sorry, you said Surah 66, chapter 39.
It is, no, sorry. Chapter 39, verse 66.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. So, the primary beneficiary of the blessings is us. Especially, now most of the humanity, they might not connect that to Allah, but we the believers, what we should. So here Allah is connecting, this verse is connecting that to worship Allah, you have to be a person who is mindful of his or her surrounding, and you have to be what? Grateful. So here now it is the big umbrella is really that casting over a concept, worshipping Allah, and means you have to be grateful to Him. I picked another verse. It is, make sure now we got it right. It is, let me make sure I don't make a mistake. It's chapter 36, verse 55. لِيَأْكُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ وَمَا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So they may enjoy the fruits of the fruits. It was not out of their hands that made this. Will they not then give thanks? I checked some of the translations, and I felt I respect this translation, but I'd like to offer mine. لِيَأْكُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ وَمَا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ. And the way it was translated, that whatever they did, it was not by their own hands. I don't see any problem. No, it is by their own hands. You know, they cultivated, they did all the work, but everything else, it is gifts, whether it's the seed or the soil or the oxygen or the water. So I don't see any problem that they, nonetheless, here the Quran, what is doing is going from the concept to what? To tangible. Look at the fruits. Look at the tangible things that you do and be thankful to them. So here the Quran now is going from theory, abstract, to what? Examples. Right? So we are people, we like tangible things, right? So I like to touch, and then I like to see things, and then so we are people of tangible. So the Quran, and just, tackling that and telling us, be thankful, be grateful to Allah. Yes, but we don't see Allah. What do we see? We see His creations. And among His creations are some of the tangibles that we are talking about. Up to now, is it clear? Yeah. All right. I think that is enough. I'm not going to pick more verses on this. I think it's very clear. I'm going to shift into something that I found it intriguing when I was preparing. So, when you look at chapter 2, verse 158, and Allah is talking about Inna Safa wal Marwa, those are the symbols of Hajj, as you all know. How many of you went to Hajj? MashaAllah, the majority, and some of us who haven't, hopefully you'll go soon. Safa wal Marwa is part of the Hajj rituals and acts of worship, and the Quran continues to talk about, those who volunteer and they do extra and so on. And the punchline of that verse, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاكِرٌ عَلِيمٌ. Now, how many know Arabic? 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Well, Mahmoud, come on. But that's good. What in this verse that changes to what I've talked earlier?
Allah is grateful to those who have been performing Hajj or other.
Very good. Straightforward Arabic, Shakir. أنا شاكر لك, I am grateful to you.
Like Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah is, but yes. However, if you look at all the translations, none of them use the word grateful. It's very interesting, and I tell you why, because they are accurate in their understanding of the Tawheed. I am grateful to you, why?
I'm nice person.
Because
we did something for you.
Yes,
Did something for you.
very good. The ladies today are sharper, guys. we are getting great answers now. They are on the top of their game. I love it. That's very good. Now, if Allah is grateful, does it mean I did something for Him?
You'll be doing it for yourself.
Right. So Allah does not need me. هو غني عن العالمين, right?
Yeah.
So that's why they did not use the word grateful brilliantly. Because if you are, it means Allah received something and He's grateful to you, because we human being, to what comes to our mind is grateful. I'm grateful to you because you've done something, you touched me, you did something, I received something from you. Whether it touched me in my heart or I benefit from it, whatever. Allah does not need us. Is in no need of anything that for Him to be grateful to me. That's why they do not use. So when you read it, Shakir, although perfectly Arabic, because I was thinking why, but more I thought about it, more I realized, oh, this is the Tawheed. They wanted to make sure that it is pure and they don't slip and make that mistake. But what it means is, if I am to be loose, and again, for those of us, always remember, language is created for who? For us. We are a limited beings. So the language, it is used for us to communicate with each other. We are all limited, right? So the language is limited. It expands or it demises or it shrinks, but it is for the human being. The problem is when we use the language to communicate with unlimited, it becomes a problem. So sometimes we fall into the trap, we make mistakes, and sometimes we jump on each other. I think we should come with, especially the kufr issue, and you know, you said kufr and made haram. Yes, sometimes we slip into that mistake because we are trying to use the limited language of ours to connect and to reflect and to talk about the unlimited. And of course, it is so limited. So I just wanted to touch on that briefly. So here I find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He didn't ask of us something that He Himself does not. But the way He react to, you know, not like us, right? The way a shukr, when Allah is shakir, is when He recognizes the good things that we do and He rewards us. So His shukr is different than our shukr. What is the other thing in the Quran that is different for Allah than it is for us? Something we do 5 times a day.
Right.
What is the verse? So I can make my point clear. We pray as-salat, right? When Allah says, Inna Allah Mahmud, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu. Does He mean He prays over us 5 times a day?
No.
Astaghfirullah. What does it mean?
He mentioned us on the higher, among the angels. And the
He
higher
mentions
angels.
us one way, but because He said, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu. So it's everybody. It is, He showers with His blessings. Right? So there are times we have to watch carefully. I know that some of us who know Arabic, especially be vigilant of that. Right? So sometimes the words are used in a way that does not mean, because I heard one time that God and His angels pray over the Prophet. What do you mean pray over the Prophet? That doesn't make sense. He showered His blessings over the Prophet.
Salutation.
Salute,
He's
salutations
mentioned among
and
the-
blessings.
his angels.
You know, they said and blessings. Because one time I remember a man came and asked me, what does that mean? How Allah pray over us? And you will find salute, you will find blessings, you will find shower with His mercy and His blessings. So the ulama used that. Allah wasn't specific, but all can go under the salat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alright, clear up to now? Alright, so it's straightforward. I don't think. Now we go into I think it's the psychology that is very important that I want to I want to talk about a little bit. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in chapter 76, chapter 3, إِنَّا هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. We showed him the way, so he is either grateful or ungrateful. Look at this carefully. إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. Two things. Either you are grateful or you are not. What does that mean? This is not a difficult question, but I want you to think about it a little bit. Something to do with the human psychology, with the human character.
Allah doesn't care anything. You're going to hell or the Jannah, one of them.
No, actually, God, no. God cares. God loves us, and He wants all of us to be successful. No, God does care. He is the Rahman, He is the Rahim, He is the most loving, He is Al-Wadud. No, He cares a lot. You know, if you take yourself to hell,
Yeah.
it's your problem, but God cares. He wants us to be in the best of places.
Yeah, the translation, according to my understanding, is that God has sent a message to all human beings. Some of you are grateful and some do not accept this from God.
That's true. But I want to go a little bit deeper into the verse. No, you're right. That's the first, when you open the door, that's the first thing you see. I want to go more deeper now. It is talking about the human psychology, in my humble opinion. It's talking about either we are grateful people or we are not grateful. What does that mean? Means if I am grateful, I'm grateful throughout. I'm grateful to Allah, I'm grateful to my parents, I'm grateful to my neighbors, I'm grateful to my neighbors, I'm grateful to my employers, I'm grateful to my children, I'm grateful to, because it is in my character. Imma shakiran, I am shakir. All the way, it is part of who I am. Oh, kafura, or I am ungrateful. I'm not grateful to Allah, I'm not grateful to my mom, I'm not grateful. The selectivity does not exist. It's a game, it's a superficiality, it is a trick we should be very cognizant of. That I am grateful to a Muslim but not grateful to a Christian. I'm grateful to my dad but not grateful to my mom. I'm grateful to my wife, not grateful to my children. This switch on and off does not work with human beings, in my humble opinion. Either character-wise you are a shakir, you're always looking at the good things in people. You're always looking at the good things that are done to you by people. Sometimes, honestly, I might be grateful to my enemy. He has criticized me on an area that I am weak. I thank him. He identified my weaknesses. He identified my faults. I offer a program that has a lot of holes in it. Thank you. Who wants to put a program that will collapse after it goes into implementation? So being a thankful, should be part of who we are. And you can't turn it on and off because we really fool ourselves sometimes. I could turn it on and off, especially when we fall into the trap. I am thankful to only the brothers who belong to my school of thought, right? Or to my clan, or to my tribe. I will not be thankful to others. This is not gonna work. So here, in my humble opinion, the Quran is saying there are two reactions. There are two characters. Either you are a person who is thankful, period, or you are not. You are ungrateful. And that's where I wanted to, this is more the human psychology that we should, because I'll come to it later, and this would play an important role. And the Quran is talking about now, obviously the Quran makes the case that being grateful, it must be part of the character. It is not something that to be taken lightly. It is something connected to the worship of Allah. It is something that Allah talks about over and over and over. And like the way the Quran does, gives you examples. We are people who are inspired by who? By people. Right? I mean, you'll find Michael Jordan inspires people, and you have this rapper inspires people, and you have this artist inspire people, and you have, whether we like it or not, we are very impressionable, and we are impressed by others, especially by other people, because they're like us. So Allah help us with that, and He gives us a long list of the messengers from Noah all the way to Muhammad, may peace be upon all of them, and the Quran talks about they were servant, they were worshipper who were grateful. And I won't go into the details because there are so many verses. Those who are interested about Noah, you will find chapter 17:3. Kana abdan shakura. He was a devout, most grateful. About Ibrahim, shakiran li'an'umihi. He was grateful to the blessings of Allah, and so on. I want to shift and want to wrap up this topic, this segment with. I love this verse, 31 verse 14, which is the verse that is talking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonished us and enjoined upon us to be good to our parents, good, especially the mom. And then the Quran is talking about وَانْشْكُرْ لِي, that be thankful to me, وَلِوَالِدَيْكَ, and to your parents. Here, you know how we have the tendency sometimes to be a little bit selfish. You know, it's always about us. And here the Quran is expanding, be thankful, but also be thankful to people. You know, it's be aware of those who have done good to you. And nothing can be more powerful than the parents, what they have done for us. So here I find the Quran is covering everything. Talk about a little psychology, talk about the worship, talk about so many ways, talk about the tangible, talking about also be aware, recognize those around you who have done good for you and thank them. And I'll talk about more what type of thanks. So with that will be phase one. So phase one is, or segment one of my talk is the case made by the text. Any question on that segment? Straightforward. All right. Now I'd like to talk about two things. One of them out of frustration, disappointment, and one of them is more that I'd like to admonish us, remind us. Anytime something is offered to you, you always need to also ask the questions why. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking abundance, and we should ask ourselves, that's great, but why? I need to understand why, because without the why do I need to apply it then? Implementation sometimes is not easy, it takes hard work, but why? So if someone tells me go on diet, I need to understand why, because diet is not, I love to eat. Who doesn't, right? I mean, so if someone's going to tell me don't eat this, and especially bread and sweet, those are my two weaknesses. If you tell me not to eat them, I want to know why. But if you tell me this is going to save your life, it's going to do this, and do this, and do this, wow. So it's ready, I'm ready to sacrifice. I'm ready to do the hard work. Not the sacrifice, but the hard work, right? So why is very important. What I wanted to air my frustration to you, when I was preparing for this topic, I wanted to understand the why. I got it. When Allah says something, I take it to heart and I implement. But I'm a very curious person. I like to understand why. So I went on Google. They call him Sheikh Google by now. We all know Sheikh Google. So I went on Sheikh Google, and I really asked Sheikh Google why this gratitude is a big deal. You know, there were more than 40 research about the topic. And what I mean by research, I don't mean by philosophy. No, actual research. Like in one of the schools, they brought 15 students, for example. They asked them to do certain things over 10 weeks. And part of it is to have a journal daily. What are the 5 things, for example, that you are thankful about? They have to write it down. And then after 10 weeks, they have to go and say, okay, who were you thankful to? Why don't you write them letters, for example? And then they write them letters. So there is a experiment. And there were 40, this is the one that I came across. I'm sure there's more than that. Not even one of them was Muslim. It's disheartening. So when I said earlier, if you remember, the Quran, 70, 80, a little less than 80 verses. You know what it means, right? You know it, you implement it, but do research, do experiment, learn the depth of it, understand the human psychology, understand its impact on sociology, and impact on economy, understand, because those research, as I will read for you, you will find gratitude had an impact on every aspect of life. It is something so significant, and Quran mentions this virtue, abundance. This is where Muslims sometimes, human rights, we talk about it. Why didn't we produce material in depth about it? Freedom, what were the first people talk about it? That's true, we produced some work, but why didn't we continue? So every time we become, we have become a little defensive, we talk about it. Name anything you want, Muslims talk about it. Yes, that's true. The Quran was revolutionary in its approach, but why didn't we build on it? Why there's no research? Why didn't we continue? Ibn Khaldun offers something out of this world when talking about history and how history has its laws that should be understood, of rising of civilization, the downfall of civilizations, and we stopped, and we still quote Ibn Khaldun. So here, when I found there's so many research by so many universities and by so many groups, and I kept hoping that I'll come across Muhammad, Ahmad, Aisha, someone that, because of the Quran, it's so powerful, it's so deep. So I hope some of us who are here, always we should challenge each other, challenge our institutions, that when the Quran talks about something in depth, we should be continuously looking into it in depth, because it offers so much, especially when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking, because whatever Allah says is unlimited. It means whatever it comes to us, it keeps on giving, it keeps on providing. But we have to dig deeper into it, we have to do research, we do experiment, we have to look into it so we can get what can be relevant to our time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I just hope you take that to heart, and when we hear something that Allah talked about so much, we should challenge ourselves. Okay, so where are the experiments? Where are the work that is tackling this in depth? And if there's not, we should challenge this institution, especially those of us who are in that position. And if you're not, you go to your institutions and ask them. Anyway, so I would like to, so why? I won't go into it because, as I said, go to Sheikh Google, and then really, no, I really mean it. Go say benefits of gratitude, and then you will find. There's this guy who's brilliantly, I know I should have done a PowerPoint, my sincere apology. My PowerPoint collapsed at work. I'm having problems, so I couldn't have it for you. But it says here, all these based on experiments, lengthy experiments, so many experiments. And experiments means have data and they have, all this been verified. They said the growth will be in emotional, more good feelings, more relaxed, more resilient, less envious, happier memories. That's in the emotional. In the personality, less materialistic, less self-centered, more optimistic, increased self-esteem, more spiritual. Go to the social, more social, healthier marriage. Healthier marriage. I mean, nowadays, believe me, we need. How many married here? Alhamdulillah. Make sure you thank your spouse today. Make sure, I'll come to that later, because I think, can you imagine how many marriages we could have saved? Because now the marriage, it's a disaster. This institution is so important, so beautiful. It's a blessing from God, and it's collapsing before our eyes. Can you imagine how much this virtue could have really helped this institution? You find, go to health, for example. Even health, improved sleep. I should be more thankful because I don't sleep that much. So I should learn more about this. Less sick, longevity, increased energy, more exercises. Wow, career and the economical, better management, improved networking, goal achievement, improved decision making, increased productivity. All of this under the benefits of gratitude, and all of them go to happiness here. And again, this is based on experiments, not one, plenty of experiments. So when you see 80 verses, you can see why. It is a life-changing. it changes the life of the people. And we Muslims, because of our book, we should be able to be in the forefront on topics like this because of the wealth that the Quran provides. Now we go to the last part, and I want to talk about, I need your help now, right? Now talk about implementation. All this is great if we leave and we said, yes, Brother Hassan was a little bit funny, a little bit here, a little bit there, but you go without much benefiting from what the Quran offers. And what the experiments are telling us, I think will be a waste, especially with something that can bring so much happiness. So now I want to go into implementation. And I would want to say, I want to tell you the story. Okay? And then there's a doctor in Pennsylvania that his name escaped me, and I should have remembered his name. No, actually, hold on. His name is Dr. Howard Kelly, North Pennsylvania. And when you reach, again, let me tell you his name, Dr. Howard Kelly. I heard the story. And I have learned, when you hear a story, always verify it. Always check it. So I went to check the story. I was so much moved by the story. I checked it. I realized it was embellished. They added a lot to it. They probably wanted to make a movie out of it or whatever. So it sounded so good. But when I started removing the layers of embellishment, I came to the story that I'm sharing with you. Still a powerful story. There's this doctor, when he was young, he was moving around and he went to this little city, little town. And when he got to the town, he was doing certain work, he got thirsty. Little thirst and little fatigue. So he looked around and he saw a house. He went and he knocked on the door of the house. This young lady opened the door for him. He told her, I'm very thirsty, can I ask you for a glass of water? So the lady looked at him, she saw that he is more than thirsty. He's a little weak. So she came back with a big glass of milk, a warm milk. So he was moved by that, he was touched by it, because how did she understood that he was a bit hungry as well? So he had the glass of milk. Time went by, this young lady got older and got sick. She was admitted to a hospital. Now, at that time, health insurance, this is in the early 1900s. At that time, the life insurance wasn't, you didn't have Obamacare or any of those care, and they're trying to take that away and so on. So anyway, she goes in, and this doctor, alhamdulillah, was an excellent doctor, very accomplished. He did a surgery on her, was very successful. She was very happy. They congratulated her. Now she has a new life. She was a bit nervous because she didn't have the insurance. She was worried how she's going to pay for it. So here she's ready to be released, and the nurse comes to her and telling her, you need to go and, this is the bill. You need to go and pay it at the cashier and take care of the bill. So she was really thinking what she's going to do and so on. So she opened the letter, and she was shocked when she saw the balance is zero, and said the balance was paid by a glass of milk.
Glass of milk, yeah.
This is a true story.
Really?
This bill was paid by a glass of milk. Now, why I use this story? Because it has the things I want to touch, to have you walk out with. He's grateful to her because she gave him something he needed, right? He was touched by her act. Feelings, he had feeling. So when someone does something to you, if your heart reacts, if you have feeling toward it, that is the first sign to be what? Grateful. Right? I'm walking by, somebody told me, watch out of this hole, I could have broke my neck. That guy saved my life, or she saved my life. The first thing is that I feel there is a sense, that feeling that I feel, that it is the triggering that I have to be grateful to that person. So in our life, brothers and sisters, whether it is at home, let us stop. Life is moving fast. We are moving fast. I am recommending to stop. If something has done something for me, I need to stop. I need to assess how, it doesn't take long, it's a fraction of a second. And I'm going to use a very mundane, my wife, I'm very appreciative of my wife when she folds my clothes. I am really, I keep thanking her because it is organized, I can get things where I want, and I could be ungrateful or I could be grateful. I could be appreciative because she's doing something good that is helping me. I have that sense, that feeling that it's really helping me. Or I could just say, well, she's my wife. Well, the less you can do, man. Right? Just imagine her reaction when you are thanking her for the little thing. I don't think it's a little thing, but just imagine the deposit that you have in her heart when you're thanking her. And when she thanks you. But first, you as an individual need to recognize that you were touched by that by that act. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Now, if you notice this doctor, what he did is he reciprocated. First touched, he acknowledged. But sometimes we say thank you. Thank you, brother. May Allah bless you. Most of the time I'm saying it so fast because I'm rushing to my car or I'm trying to greet somebody else. May God bless you. It becomes a word that it's on the lips. But did it come from the heart? I don't know. Make sure it comes from the heart. The least you could do really, stop, look at it and react to it from the heart. Last but not least, as the doctor did, is he paid the bill. Do something to reciprocate the kindness and the generosity and the act that was given to us. Most of the time we don't. Some of the experiments I was reading, writing letters, thanking people, that spoke volume to the relationship between the people and those who received the letter. Little gift. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Tahadu tahabbu," exchange gifts. You thought of that person. It's not about the money, it's just a thought. So I remind myself anew with the time that expiring that let's make this month the month of gratitude. Not just Thanksgiving, and I eat turkey, and most of us, I worry about the turkey because every time Thanksgiving comes, I get fat. No, I really add a few pounds. And I don't like turkey that much, but it is the hype and all this. So we eat turkey, and then after that, I go and weigh myself. Man, I've gained a few pounds. Because it wasn't turkey, it was all the dessert and all the sweet things and all the and the leftovers that you have. And it really shouldn't be about that. It should be about a month, primarily. And I know it's controversial. The Thanksgiving is controversial, and let's put that on the side. It's an opportunity. It's not the spirit of gratitude and the shukr. We take it. It's here. The experiments are real. Let us benefit from it. It is a month of gratitude. So you go today, honestly, while you're in the car, think about it. What is today that you are grateful about? What is it that your spouse or your children that you are grateful to them about? How many of us do that? I speak for myself, I don't. I've been struggling to do that. So today, I woke up this morning, I wanted to go to the gym. I was grateful that I woke up. I swear. I was thinking like, well, nobody did anything for me. And then I said, well, alhamdulillah, wallahi, I'm telling you the truth. I was grateful that I woke up. My brother passed away a few months ago. He slept, he didn't wake up. I mean, he's 36 years old. He was 36 years old. So, life is I'm happy. I went to the gym, I was able to exercise. Not too long ago, I was sick for a few weeks. I couldn't exercise. The fact that I am able to exercise, this is a blessing. Thank God. So you become more appreciative, you become more optimistic, as you can tell. So this is an exercise. as important is identify those who have been grateful to you, those who have done good things to you, and feel it, reciprocate, express, acknowledge by a letter, by a little gift, by a thank you. And honestly, I hate when people come to me and said, thank you brother, it was a great speech. I like when someone comes to me, thank you brother, because you did specifically tell me why you like my speech or why you are grateful. That means you thought about it, wasn't just a lip service. So you want to thank your spouse, you want to thank your loved ones, you want to thank your neighbor, be specific. Feel it, let it come from the heart. Believe me, people can see through us when it's only lips. And reciprocate, express, beyond acknowledgement, do something. I leave it up to you, I'm not going to tell you. I hope that we can go ahead and implement and live. So knowledge is important, exemplifying, executing it also is important, but what's in between, remember I told you at the beginning, both of you, is do research, provide data, do experiment, offer something that is so convincing for our young men and women. I can't tell my kids, Allah said and the Prophet said. I used to react to when I was young. My uncle used to tell me, don't cut your hair this way because the Prophet said this. I used to react to that greatly. I tell my kids now, they laugh at me. It's a different generation. We can no longer, they're smarter, they're more informed, it's a different breed. We gotta equip ourselves with research, experiments, things that are advanced, things that can be built on what Allah has told us, but we really did our homework. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept, and I will say happy gratitude month.